Hi, welcome back to the channel. So here we are on the 25 Transalp. Just doing a brief overview of a bike. I realise I've done a fair few videos. I have done 10,000, 20,000 K reviews on my old 23 Transalp, and I've done the 2,000, 3,000 K on this one. So I thought I may as well combine a 40,000 kilometre a 40,000 kilometre overview over two bikes. It's a 25 model, is pretty much like the 23 model. It has suspension tweaks, twin headlight, revised dash, and that's about it really. The graphics obviously different colour grey. I think it's a nicer, but it's all personal preference. I don't want to denigrate somebody who's got the 23 model because colours are very subjective. Tell you what, these cruise streets don't like tramline and A, but don't like them little tar snakes. That's one thing I can say at the beginning of the review. The cruise street tyres that Honda bestow upon its customers are shocking, and I've said it on other videos, and I'm not exaggerating. They're freaking horrible. But I persevered because I'd already paid for a new bike. But that's the thing to consider. You can, I'm sure if you were about to order a brand new Transalp, say, hey, I'm going to buy a bike off you, but I don't want the Cruise Street free tyres. But if you're predominantly doing road riding, no, I think it's fair to say people are genuinely going to use this bike 20% off-road. Genuinely, so every 100 Ks you're going to, 1,000 Ks you're going to do 200 Ks off-road riding, or semi-smooth dirt roads. Well, maybe the cruise you can, but for the 800 kilometres you're on tarmac, you're going to hear a high-pitched whine at 100 kilometres and above. You can't just ride it out, that whine will be there. So that's 100 kilometres indicated, so that's really about 95 Ks in reality. So right at the speed limit in Australia, you're going to hear a noise on your front. And you might think, oh, well, that's just because I'm on an adventure bike, and, well, it is a quiet bike normally. On my 23 Transalp with Dunlop, that's the purpose of this little bit here of a review, is just to let you know, if you get the bike ordered with Dunlop mixed tours, which the Transalps either come with mixed tours or cruise, right? The mixed tours are quiet, but decent. They're like a 90-10 tyre. They are a lot better on the road. So I would say, unless you're going to do 50-50 adventure riding, difficult off-road riding, wet in the mud off-road riding, dirt roads where it's muddy, I'd stick with a Dunlop mixed tours or better. No, the best tyres I've ever had on this bike, I've had Dunlop mixed tours, 2 sets, and I wanted something different because I did 98% road riding, so I got the Pirelli Scorpion Trail Freeze. Don't let the trail bit confuse anybody. They're about a 5% off-road, 95% on-road, and they quicken the steering up. If you go straight from these, or the Dunlop mixed tours to a Pirelli, it feels like getting from a 6-cylinder to a 4-cylinder sports car, right? And they're good and dry and wet, keeping your recommended tyre pressures. So the cruise streets are noisy, loud, and they tramline, and more than the Dunlop mixed tours did, and more than the Pirelli Scorpion Trail Freeze did. Other than that, okay, they've been serviceable. So tramlining and a high-pitched whine. The whining went away from me at 7,500 Ks. So that's a long time to be riding a new bike with a high-pitched whine. It took a lot of the enjoyment of riding. Even though I do these back roads where you're not going to 100 plus that often, I'm just being honest, at 100 k's, you know, a lot of these roads are wide open. This is a more narrow road with lower speed limits. When you're doing the more flowing roads, having a high pitch whine at 100 k's is pretty bad. So anyway, that's the two negatives of a bike on the tyres. I'd definitely say, like I've already said it, you choose your own tyres, but that's just my experience. The Cruise Street tyres are not the best tyres. I think in my experience, I would say definitely the defective tyres, because any bike that makes a noise at 100 k's on an $16,500 bike. No, these were, yeah. So anyway, I'm going to leave it at that on the tyres, because it will turn into a rant. I've mentioned it on other videos, so just going to be very cautious on these corners, because of these bikes have been known to cross over the lines. Just a minority riders sort of inexperienced on these roads, or they think they're better riders than they are. So it's always pays to be middle to gutter, away from the centre line, not just for bikes. I mean, bikes aren't the worst offenders, it's the cars and trucks. So I'm just poodling along here at the speed limit, a little bit below, but I know from doing a lot of Ks on these roads, 60,000 Ks on 4 different bikes in the last 2 years, that riding under your capability and the bike's capability is a lot safer. Long-term survival plan is a lot better than pushing your luck. And when you're on tyres that you've got less than 100% confidence in, it's another reason just to go. So you can still, when the conditions, this bike, so let's look at the power delivery on this bike. That's a roll on a third gear. No, it hasn't started really taken off. Just started to take off at 6,000 RPM. So this bike is 2 bikes in one. It's a poodling bike, like I am now. Poodling, third gear, fourth gear, poodling. It'll go to 5th. It's got enough torque. I can even put it up to 6 at 85 kilometers an hour on an incline. She will still pull away, in 6th gear, from about 3,500 revs, 6th gear on an incline. It hasn't got if you're coming from an Africa Twin torque of 110 Newton meters, it hasn't got the same torque level. It's only got 73 Newton meters of torque. So you will notice that, but for a 750 adventure bike, I think it's okay. If this bike had 100 Newton meters of torque at 92 horsepower, which it has in Australia, it would be pretty much spot on. If Honda ever made a 190 kilo 750, let's say we call it a 600, got it up to 85 horsepower on a 600 and only weighed up, like I said, 190 kilos with about 100 Newton meters of torque. I mean, what a bike that would be, But with the limitations in the torque compared to an Africa Twin sort of bike, and I guess the KTMs and all that, 790s and all that, you just have to shift it. That's what we've got gearboxes for. Now we're in 3rd gear. That's a roll on in 3rd gear, the 2nd. So we just redlined it there in 2nd. So the bike is a wolf in sheep's clothing, Now I'm very conscious of these Cruise Street tyres. I've got 10,000 Ks on them now. And obviously we've got a narrow road, taking my apex on the gutter line for safety. I know that these gutters aren't perfect. But hey, I'd rather, I'm going to drastically reduce my speed. We've got fucking rain coming, I can't believe it. I'm going to have to put my wet weather jacket on. So we've got crosses on the side of these roads. There's an unfortunate person died further back. So you can have fun on this bike, but I dare say if you're one of those riders that likes pushing the envelope, ooh, there you go. That's why we don't push the envelope, eh? Kangaroo. So if you're a rider that pushes the envelope on these bikes, now imagine that kangaroo had crossed over, I hadn't come along, and it sat in the middle of a road and that bike come in. I'm not saying that bike was speeding either. And that's what the hazards on these back roads are, eh? So if you are say if there was a bike pushing it up, and there's a kangaroo, your reaction time, your braking time is all reduced. So it's not just about how quick you can go into a corner, being laser focused on your corner, your braking technique, your lean. It's about what is on the road around that blind corner, over that crest. Now I was just demonstrating a little bit of a power delivery. I normally go slower than that to about a point, and it's all for that reason, eh? Yeah, so I'm just going to slow it right down. There might be a police car. There's a Lamborghini behind me, eh? Not behind, 2 cars behind is a Lamborghini. Wow. I thought it was a Singer police car, but it wasn't. Now there's police cars sit around here. It's been reported on Facebook. So we're going to just poodle along and demonstrate how this bike can be just a perfect. There's another kangaroo. There's another kangaroo. So it is 9:15 in the morning, and because the weather's changed, dare say it's gone from a reasonably sunny morning to overcast. The kangaroo is a bit more active, a bit later. This is a known wallaby kangaroo corridor. So these back road dangers are real. People can laugh and say, "Oh, it's only a little kangaroo." Yeah, I suggest you have a look on YouTube what happens when a kangaroo hits a motorbike. So we don't want to hit a kangaroo.